And you can't sit up here and tell me that Luka and Embiid is not watching to see the point differential for us, who's going to lead the league in scoring. It happens, JJ, and you know it happens. So for you to come over here and say, oh, that's not who Jokic is. That's not the type of person he is. It's not in his nature. Before Giannis did what he did 2 nights ago, did anybody think it was in his nature?
Right, KP.
People knows what goes on. And for you to sit up here and for you to come on here and you to say, that's not who Jokic is. Like, how in the hell do you know how another man is feeling inside?
Stephen, I mean no offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts.
Yeah, Perk, you brought this on yourself, my boy. The very thing that y'all NBA players complained about, now you're doing the very same thing.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
Man, welcome back to another episode of the Ruling Class Podcast. And of course, you know who I am. It's your boy Diddy back up in this bitch with another video. Listen, if you're new to the show, please know your boy is thirsty to grow and to drink some of this water. You can help me out by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. But don't worry, I'm going to give you just a second to do that. To help me out, just hit that like button for me. I appreciate you. So listen, Kendrick Perkins, JJ Redick. For those of you who are sports fans, and for those of you who aren't sports fans, regardless, if you know or if you don't know, for many years, NBA players, NFL players, professional, sports players have complained about the media creating narratives and bashing players and, having takes on games or situations that don't make sense because they've never played the game. Well, the last few years, we've seen an increase of retired NBA and NFL players coming into the media, right? And the whole purpose of this, according to them, is called the new media or the new age media. And the purpose of this is to create or bring forth a much more balanced or nuanced perspective on these platforms, because people like Stephen A. Smith and Nick Wright and all these other different analysts don't really know what they're talking about because they never played the game. Well, Kendrick Perkins is a great example of an NBA player who, just because you played the game, just because you played the game at the highest level, don't mean that you really understand the game, especially when it comes to a lot of different things, because regardless, you can take a lot of NBA players who all played in the NBA, obviously, because they're NBA players, and they'll have different takes, they'll have different perspectives, they'll see the game differently, they'll feel a different way about the game, they'll have a different feel for the game. That's just how it goes, right? The very thing that you NBA players complained about, you're now in the media doing the same thing, which is you're creating narratives just for clicks and likes. We know that's what you're doing. You're sensationalizing these sets and these takes for the purpose of getting people's attention because race sells. You know that. I want you to imagine the amount of times that LeBron James has been criticized and scrutinized in the media when he's, in my opinion, the second greatest player of all time. He's almost a perfect basketball player. Nobody's perfect, but he's one of the closest players we've ever seen to being a perfect all-around basketball player that you'll ever see in your life. And this man gets scrutinized more than anybody. I want you to think about that. Now you're in the media creating narratives and almost demonizing Nikola Jokic for being a good basketball player. So, for example, when you hear somebody like Gary Payton, right, an NBA legend, say something along the lines of John Stockton is a harder NBA player to guard all time than Michael Jordan.
You've actually said that John Stockton was harder to guard than Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Because I guess that Stockton wouldn't react to your trash talk at all. He would just look right through you and keep scoring.
Like a stone face. But it's a difference between him. I got to guard him 94 feet.
I got to think about coming off of picks. He throwing passes. He coming back, trying to steal basketballs. He always moving. He's taking charges on me. He doing a lot of things. I have to always focus on him. He only played 34 minutes. That's what Jerry Sloan played him. And then when you look up, he shot the ball 10 times. He made 8. He shot 7 free throws. He made all 7.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you look up, he got 16 assists. Then you think about it and you say, dang, he got 5, 6 rebounds and he got 5 steals. And I look up there and I say, man, he got 27, 16, 5, 5. I can't deal with that.
When you hear him say something like that, you like, what? What? But if you, but after he explains it, you better understand his point of view, because obviously John Stockton is not a better basketball player than the greatest player of all time, you know. So anyways, so I want you to take a listen to what happened on First Take just a couple of days ago between JJ Redick, former NBA player, and Kendrick Perkins, former NBA player, because this went left really fast because you got Kendrick Perkins race baiting and pulling the race card for the sole purpose of, in my opinion, he's trying to get Joel Embiid that MVP. JJ Redick literally checks Kendrick Perkins live on air for race baiting and pulling the race card. So let's take a listen.
Look, Perk, I want to touch on something that they didn't bring up. This idea that Dirk and Steve Nash were favored to win the MVP because they're white. First of all, you stop short at 1990. That was your cutoff point for players to win MVP not in the top 10 in points per game, which is a stupid stat to judge MVP on. This isn't middle school. 1990, Magic won it. 89, Magic won it. 87, Magic won it. 87, he was 10th. 89, he was 15th. 90, he was 18th. Okay? We judge MVP year to year. You also said the criteria or the goalpost change year to year for certain players. No, it doesn't. We vote on the MVP. Hold on. We vote on the MVP based on that season. We vote on the MVP based on that season. It is a regular season award. Previous playoff runs have nothing to do with it. It's a regular season award for the most valuable player. Dirk Nowitzki led the league in win shares in both 06 and 07. Led the league in offensive win shares in both 06 and 07. So, yeah, he wasn't top 5 or whatever he was, top 10 in scoring his MVP season. The Dallas Mavericks were 67 and 15. They had the best record in the NBA. In 05, Steve Nash was the driver of the #1 offense in the league, a team that jumped 20 wins and had the best record in the NBA. In 06 to me is one of the weirdest MVP seasons ever. You could make an argument Nash probably shouldn't have won it, but he was still the driver of the #1 offense in the league. The 2 best teams that year, the Detroit Pistons.
Hey, look at Kendrick's face. Hey, he's getting bodied right now, bro. I remember when I first heard his take and said that there are 3 players in NBA history going back to 1990, that being Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and it was another player that he said all won MVP that was not top 10 in scoring. And he said, I'm going to let you all decide what all 3 of them have in common. And what they had in common was that they were all 3 white players, right? And I think it was Nikola Jokic. I think it was Nikola Jokic, Steve Nash, and Dirk Nowitzki going back to 1990. He stopped at 1990 because Magic Johnson has won it 3 times, and only in 2 of those times he wasn't top 10. 1 of those times he was literally the 10th top scorer in the league. So he knew if he went past 1990, he wouldn't have an argument there, right? Look at his face because he's being bodied. Bro, this is hilarious.
64 wins. The San Antonio Spurs, 63 wins. Guess what? They didn't have a top, their top scorers weren't in the top 20 in the NBA that year. So that was just a strange season. You could have given it to Kobe. You could have given it to Shaq. You could have given it to Tim Duncan. They gave it to Steve Nash. It's not because he was white.
It was just a strange thing. It was just a strange
But why did you cut it off at 1990, though? Because that was convenient. That was convenient.
I'm just saying, hold on, time out.
He's not going to answer that.
Time out. It was just a strange thing that it just happened. It was just a strange thing in 2006 when Kobe averaged 31, when he was playing with Kwame Brown and Smush Parker.
And what was the
just a
record that year?
strange
42 and
thing.
40.
Here's-
They were 42 and 40.
So
let him speak.
Was he the most valuable player?
Playoffs. They made the playoffs with that roster. You take Kobe off that team, they probably win 8 games. Okay, so let's make that very, very clear. Now, since you want to talk about when I was saying and preaching about moving the goalposts, the reason I asked that question was for the simple fact that what I'm saying is I don't know the criteria no more. I don't know if it's because it's the number 1 seed. I don't know if it's the number 6 seed. I don't know how you judging it. Is we judging off of advanced stats or who's the most valuable player? You take them off this team. We don't know. We don't know, but we do know this. Since you do want to bring it up, we do know this, that when it comes to MVP voting, 80% of the voters are white American. 20% are others. Now let's talk about this year, and let's talk about the stat pattern. What I said was, I'm never taking anything from when it comes down to Jokic being one of the most skilled big, if not the most skilled big to ever play the game. I would not allow Joel Embiid. I would not allow Giannis Antetokounmpo to be disrespected. Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging a career high in points right now. Team has the best record in the league. Joel Embiid has had, I don't even know the numbers of 40-point games that he has had, but damn it, it hasn't been done since Shaq, and it's by a landslide, the number of 40-point games he done put up this season. And you can't sit up here and tell me that Luka and Embiid is not watching to see the point differential for us, who's going to lead the league in scoring. It happens, JJ, and you know it happens. So for you to come over here and say, oh, that's not who Jokic is. That's not the type of person he is. It's not in his nature. Before Giannis did what he did 2 nights ago, did anybody think it was in his nature?
KP.
Did anybody know how he was feeling?
Let JJ get back.
I want to just say
Let
something.
JJ back, get
Stephen
back.
A.
Look, before he says this, let me just say the point that Kendrick Perkins made about, the vote has been 80% white Americans and 20% others. A lot of people hear that and say, well, that still don't mean that they're being racist. Let me say this, because I think Kendrick Perkins is just off here. And I think he knows that he's wrong, and he's getting a lot of backlash for his statement, because there have been most MVPs in history have been black players. Yes, the league is predominantly black, but we've had some dope. I think Luka, in my opinion, is a top 3 player, but we got to include defense. So you're probably going to say he drops down. But scoring-wise, I think there's very few people in the league that is as impactful as Luka Doncic already in his career. And I felt that way for 3 years. That dude is the truth, and he's a white European player. However, let me say this. My professor told me something one time. She said, regardless if the person is a CEO, an entry-level worker, your best friend, your cousin, a stranger, it does not matter. White, black, Native American, Hispanic, it does not matter. All human beings are biased. Whether they're hiring you for a job, whether you're applying for a job, they are biased. They are biased in some sort of way because they're human. And if they say otherwise, they're lying. Right? So I'm not going to say that Kendrick Perkins is completely wrong there. Yeah, maybe there are some voters that feel a way about black Americans always winning, or if a white player is that close to winning, maybe they have an advantage. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. If you're playing well enough, you're going to win it. That's how I feel as it pertains, because it's just not enough white players that are even in the race. That's how I personally feel. I get his point about them not being in the top 10, but it also happened to Magic Johnson, man. We understand that narratives a lot of times plays a role into MVP. Like Russ, his triple-double. Bro, that was a terrible team without him. But it was other players that was having just as great of a season as Russell Westbrook a few years ago. But Russ won because, Kevin Durant left, and it was just all about the narrative. So don't be misleading with this. You know what I mean? And the last thing I want to say about Kendrick Perkins before it gets to this is that Kendrick Perkins is a perfect example. What he's doing is similar to the videos I've dropped about the girls who go into the gym and cry wolf, pretend like they're upset that men are looking at them when they're not really upset, right? Or pretend that men are looking at them when the men really aren't looking at them, so that they can post a video and get likes and views, right? Women like that make it bad for women who are actually sexually assaulted, actually dealing with, creeps in the gym, because y'all are gonna, the other women out here are crying wolf. Kendrick Perkins is being the equivalent of that for so-called black people. You're crying wolf, bro, And when racism actually happens, it's going to be harder for us to fight for it because you're doing stuff like this when it's actually not present or you don't have the evidence to actually prove it.
I mean, Stephen, I mean no offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now. Hold on.
I stated it's the facts. It's the facts.
JJ Redick is 100% right. We know what Kendrick Perkins was alluding to. Yes, he never used the term racist, but that's what he was saying, right? He was making that point. Y'all up in the comment section, y'all give me y'all thoughts. What do y'all think about this situation? I think JJ Redick bodied this man because he's pulling a race card, and in my opinion, I think he really wants Joel Embiid. I think he's really a really big fan of Joel Embiid's game. He feels like Joel Embiid has been robbed. And you got to remember, Kendrick Perkins played in the league and he was a big man. He wasn't a star, but he was a big man. So as an African-American big man who played in the league, I think he has a different type of appreciation for bigs like Joel Embiid who are athletic and talented and skilled. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to a Nikola Jokic who's won it already 2 times, but he's not the most athletic. He's not the most flashy, right? He's not the most, what is it called? High-flying, blockbuster, superstar in the league. Nonetheless, the man is a winner, and I think he made a fool of himself pulling a race card because in this particular case, I don't think it applied. What do y'all think? Hop in the comment section to give your boy your thoughts. This is crazy. Until next time, yo. Ice.
Oh, yeah, Diddy got a podcast.